People who have been blackmailed but got revenge. How did you do it? Story 1. Not me, but my friend's mom got blackmailed for nearly $100K by a Nigerian scammer. She met him on eHarmony, where he purported to be a foreign banker about to move to the States. She thought they were really hitting it off, and began corresponding on a regular basis. Over time, he found out who all her friends and family were and where she worked. Eventually, they started sending sexy naked pictures to each other. That's when he dropped the act. He threatened to send the pictures to everyone she knew unless she wired him a few $1,000s. She sent the money immediately, but that wasn't the end of it. Over the course of the next few months, he continued demanding money until all her savings were completely depleted. She kept all this quiet from everyone she knew and was considering mortgaging her home so she could continue to pay for his silence. Luckily, one night at dinner, a few days before she was going to take out a loan on her house, she broke down in tears in front of my friend and confessed everything. My friend immediately called me asking for legal advice. I'm an attorney. I told him while I have no legal expertise in this area, I would do my best to dissuade the guy from releasing the pics. I then sent the guy a very official sounding cease and desist email. In it, I identified myself as her attorney and explained that while we have not ruled out legal action yet, if he released the photos, we would not hesitate to hire a local detective to use the wire transfer information to hunt him down. While I conceded that we may not even be able to bring him to justice, we would spare no expense to make his life very, very difficult. It was of course all a bluff, but it worked. Never heard from him again. My friend never told his mom that he had told me or anyone else. Spare her further embarrassment, he claimed he had a man-to-man conversation with the guy, and that he agreed to leave her alone. And that's why you should never send anything like that to someone you don't know online. There's just way too many evil people out there, especially on the internet, waiting to get some unsuspecting person. Your friend is such a great son though. Instantly jumping into action like that and telling a little white lie to spare his mom's embarrassment. Class A guy. Story 2. My friend Skyped with a random girl from the Philippines. They stripped naked and had a fun time. After the session ended, she sent him a video of him pleasuring himself along with a list of his friends on Facebook and his wife's Facebook accounts. She demanded $1,000. He was really scared of his wife getting to know what happened. He called me and asked for help. I asked him to tell her what he's paying through, a company that processes international money transfers, as a tactic but never pays anything. Then made him ask her for more information, her full name, phone number, and address. She was very skeptical, but after he sent her photos of the office and that company proving he's there and serious, she sent them. She only sent the name of the neighborhood, but not the exact address though. Looked up the neighborhood and located the nearest police station's name and address. It was in a poor area in Manila. I called her through Google Voice. That meant the number that appeared on her phone was the local number in the Philippines. In a strong British accent, I told her I'm from the company that's processing the transaction and asked her if we suspect it's a fraud. She was really scared and couldn't answer properly. When I cornered her, she abruptly ended the call and turned off the phone for 10 minutes. I asked my friend to message her right after that, telling that he got a call from the company processing the transaction too, and they said the money is now located in Police Station X, and she should go there to take it. She blocked him and never heard from her again, and he never had to pay again. Hope he keeps his wiener in. 100 IQ play right there. The fact that this happened on Skype is just wild to me though. I don't know why, but I just can't imagine people trying to scam on there. It seems like such an innocent app. Maybe I only think that because I only used it when I was younger. Story 3. Throwaway. I was living/working abroad and ended up in an abusive relationship with a guy who was an immigrant to that country. We had been casually dating when I was a student there, then returned home and we broke it off. Then I returned to the country, in a different city to work. He showed up to my doorstep and then wouldn't leave. Then things slowly descended into a classic abusive relationship scenario. But the blackmail started when I wanted to travel with my friends to visit another country. He stole my passport and hid it, then forced me to agree to videotape one of our sexy times, or else I couldn't have my passport back. I agreed and I got to go on my trip. Shortly after the trip, left the country and returned to the US and the blackmail began. He was extremely possessive/jealous. And would call me 100 times in the span of an hour if I didn't answer. During one of our fights, he showed me on Skype that he did not delete the video as promised upon my return from the trip, but that he still had it. He threatened me constantly that he would release the video and show all my friends, family, and coworkers if I didn't do what he wanted. Example, if I was sleeping over at a friend's house, he would make me Skype with him and show him everyone around to prove I wasn't cheating on him. If I was at a bar, he'd want me to be on the phone with him, and he would need to audibly hear that he said hello so they would be aware that I was his property. If I did not do this, I get threats. After a long time of this and developing severe anxiety, I found the courage to change my phone number. The threats continued for a while, still Facebook friends, but then I finally got courage to cut off all ties about a year and a half ago. He no longer holds the power over me and my life. Good for you. So glad you got away from that psychopath. The fact people can get that crazy over someone they're in a relationship with is just insane. Like, I can understand jealousy to an extent, but that is just a whole other level. Story 4. Well, I guess I was the blackmailer in this case, but hear me out. This happened over 12 years ago. I was in high school and 15 years old when I had my cell phone confiscated by one of the school administrators. I was walking to the school when it rang and he demanded that I hand it over. He told me that he'd have it in his office until one of my parents came by to get it. My mom came to the school to pick up the phone and it had been misplaced. The school isn't liable because student cell phones were not allowed on school property. About a month later, I was in a pawn shop with an older friend and saw my cell phone in one of the glass cases. I knew it was mine because of the Mega Man sticker on the faceplate. The pawn shop clerk wouldn't budge when I told him that cell phone was mine. He told me I would have to file a police report and prove that the phone was mine. Instead of doing that, I decided to go to the office of the school administrator and ask him why the phone he confiscated from me ended up in a pawn shop. He got all flustered and I put two and two together. He had been stealing students' cell phones and selling them to pawn shops for extra cash. I called him out and for the next 3 years I blackmailed him for vending machine money whenever I saw him. Alright, but blackmail in that case is a little more understandable. Although I would have just ratted him out and got his stealing buff fired. Like who the heck just sells other kids' phones? Story 5. IT security related story here. Not the type of story you would see on this thread. Some random 15-year-old found the backend IP address for my website via some software exploit. I decided to DDoS my website with a botnet for ransom. I was contacted via email with the demands being 0.5 BTC if I wanted to keep my site up. I decided not to pay such ransom and try to figure out who the perpetrator was. Hint, it wasn't very hard to figure out. The kid accidentally sent the email with his personal Gmail account and his full name as the email address, plus a picture of his face as his profile picture. He also had a public Instagram account with his full name advertising his botnet services. Finally, his parents were also listed in his Facebook profile that he had. After I told his parents what he did, the attack on my website magically stopped. Plus, all of his social media accounts were deleted, and I never heard from him again. Quite stupid if you ask me. You'd think if he was smart enough to use that kind of thing and make a whole service out of it, he'd be smart enough to make a new email. I wonder how many people he did that to that could have just not paid by looking at his email a little closer. Story 6. They wanted $15,000 or they wouldn't allow their daughter to sign the divorce papers. Also something about slandering/libel as much as they could my name. Thing is, this is 2 years after his daughter left me on Christmas to go home and cheat on me, and never come back while also being addicted to heroin. I tried going through normal emancipation, filing without a lawyer, which she just ignored. So this is after she was served with the divorce papers formally by my lawyer, which was done because she wouldn't sign. He also emailed me this threat, so it was like being blackmailed to get a situation that I didn't need to happen to occur, in an illegal and documented manner. It was evidence that the money I spent on a lawyer to get detached from that family was well spent. So glad he got away from that toxic family and terrible spouse. One thing I've noticed is these blackmailers are really stupid. Like why would you send a threat that can easily be used in court when something like a divorce is going on involving lawyers? Story 7. Not me, but a female friend of mine was dating a guy who always seemed to be low on money. He blamed it on high payments for a truck he had, which seemed odd as the truck was in no way new nor worth that much. Well, apparently the payments were to his ex, who had found evidence, videos or pictures, can't remember such, that he had been spicily abusing a young relative. Rather than turn him in, Jerk blackmailed him for money. Eventually he was found out anyhow, and when he got arrested and charged, the whole blackmail thing came out. My friend was pretty messed up after finding out she'd been dating a child molester, but honestly I'd met the guy too, and it's not like there were any signs of it. Unfortunately, I don't think the ex was charged, but in my honest opinion, she should have been a conspirator. Oh, she definitely should have. That scumbag should have been locked up with him for keeping something that important just to make a couple bucks. Story 8. Sort of mild case of blackmail for me. I was absolutely terrified of the dentist when I was little. Like full-on shakes, hysterical, ridiculous, crying terrified. Anyway, one day I had broken my tooth on a piece of licorice. That was a molar, so it wasn't visible. I cried to my older sister that I didn't want to tell my mom because I'd have to go to the dentist. She took this as an opportunity to make me do everything she asked. Or she'd rat me out and I'd have to go to the dentist. For the next year I had to do her chores, her homework. She would beat the crud out of me and threaten to tell my mom about my broken tooth. I was freaking petrified. The pain finally got so bad that I had to get help. Went and got it fixed, fear of the dentist is gone. I will never forget nor forgive her for that stuff. When my mom found out she'd been blackmailing me, she did nothing. Still chapped about it. This one is probably the most tame so far. Just normal sibling blackmailing. How'd you get over your fear of the dentist though? I need some tips. Story 9. Not sure if this counts, but an old friend of mine got blackmailed, but he kinda deserved it. He became obsessed with this girl and he dated her for like a week before she broke up with him. He still persistently texted her and asked her for spicy pics. It was straight up creepy the way he was talking to her. She continuously said no and made it clear she wasn't changing her mind. He said he was gonna send some pics first, then he would send some. He sent wiener pics and she told him that if he didn't stop, she will post them all over her Instagram. He didn't take the warning. She posted the pictures. I was scrolling through my Insta and sure enough, there's my friend's wiener with name and face. People called him Cheeto Puff for the longest time. Oof, Cheeto Puff? That's rough. But I totally agree. He deserved it after that creepy stuff. Story 10. When I was 19, I was sort of dating a girl and we happened to exchange a whole bunch of spicy pictures. When I wanted to move on and see other people, she said I can't and that she would post my spicy pictures on a gay forum with my phone number if I didn't stay with her. I told her to go ahead. And a few days later, she sent me an AIM message with all the links to the forums my spicy pictures were posted at. My phone rang for several months from guys looking for a good time. I was really flattered. Dang, sounds like it backfired for her. Story 11. Some guy on Reddit and I had a disagreement, which obviously means I'm the worst person on earth. So this crazy MFer tracked down the spicy pictures I posted on my wife, found her email address, and found her real name in an attempt to shame me into agreeing with him, or else he would tell my wife what I was doing behind her back, which was solved via my wife messaging him with the same link and basically saying, "You really think I wouldn't know my husband posted these pictures? We're exhibitionists, you crazy piece of S." Kind of funny that he went through all that digging just because someone disagreed with him online, only to have it backfire so quickly in his face. Story 12. Someone filmed me and my ex-girlfriend having spicy time through the window. Creepy, right? They sent us a message that said they would send it to our family members if we didn't give them $1,000. We didn't pay the money, called the cops, and they basically told us don't pay, because they won't do anything. Most likely don't know all of our family or even know a way to send it to them. I moved houses and never heard from them again. I'm also married now in a completely different area, and my family never received anything. Who's just out here filming people through windows? Like, go get a job, you creep. Story 13. In school, about 14, I broke up with my girlfriend and she threatened to show everyone the D-pics I had sent her. I told her that's fine with me and no one really gave a frick. Got a few giggles off the girls, no big deal. Then I showed everyone the spicy messages she sent me because she felt totally embarrassed by it and let it get to her. She ended up way worse off than me. What's good? It's a pretty dangerous game to try and blackmail someone that just doesn't give a frick. Story 14. Back in high school, I was flirting with this girl. I didn't know she was dating a notorious thug from a neighborhood with a criminal record. She told him that I was hitting on her and making her feel uncomfortable, and she would get him and his boys to kick my butt unless I gave her $20. I was just like, okay, $20? Sure. Man, she must have really needed just 20 bucks. Story 15. I had a Pop-Tart, and the girl wanted my Pop-Tart. She said, "Give me your Pop-Tart or I will tell everyone you pushed me and stole my Pop-Tart." I looked at her and said, "Do it," with a straight face, then slowly ate the Pop-Tart in front of her. She then told the people sitting next to us they didn't care. This was also in college. In college? I was expecting this to be like first grade or something. What? Story 16. Ex-wife stole my credit card and booked a wedding. When I found out, I demanded my money back. She refused and then ran to the police and put in a report that I beat her and my daughter up. I was scared poopless and ended up marrying her in order for the charges to get dropped. I am now happily divorced. I just miss seeing my daughter like I used to. Your ex sounds insane. She should not have custody of your kid in my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.